Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome back again. Today we're going to be talking about adding or subtracting decimals. Now, previously we've already talked about how we can add or subtract decimals using models, using those base 10 models. Today I'm going to show you how we can use our place values in order to add and subtract different kinds of decimals. So first of all, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take 0.4, very simple, plus 0.3. Now, a bunch of you in your heads are probably already thinking, oh, the answer, I see 4/10 plus 3/10, that's going to get you 7/10. And you're absolutely correct. Now, we start off simply so that we can build upon that, so when it gets harder later on, you already have the basics. So what I'm going to do with this, when I see it horizontally like this, what I want to do is I want to stack it. Just like when we ordered our decimals and compared our decimals, I want to put those numbers right on top of each other, lining up that decimal. That's very, very important to line up that decimal. That is the key and the secret to this whole adding and subtracting decimals stuff. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to show you. You're going to write it 0.4, 0.3, adding them together. So 4/10 and 3/10 is 7/10. I'll bring down the decimal and 0 and 0. And so, of course, we match. Now, it's the exact same thing when I have subtracting decimals. So I have 0.4 minus 0.3. I'll use my same numbers. Now, I know I have 4/10. If I take away 3/10, I'll be left with 1/10. Now, that 1/10, again, if I want to do it the vertically way, I'm going to stack them. 0.4 minus 0.3, 4/10 minus 3/10 is 1/10. I bring down the decimal, I bring down the zeros, because nothing minus nothing is nothing. So therefore we have our numbers adding and subtracting using our place values, lining up our place values. Our ones in the same place value. Our tenths are in the same place value. That's what I mean by using place value to do these. Let's take a look at another example. Let's say I have 0.67 and I want to add 0.19. Okay, that's a little squish there. Sorry about that. So 0.67 plus 0.19, 67 hundredths plus 19 hundredths. I'm just going to go ahead, 0.67, 0.19, adding them together. Okay, so I'm just going to add them normally. So I'm going to start at the back here with the hundredths place. 7 hundredths plus 9 hundredths is going to get me 16 hundredths. I'm going to carry the one like I would normally carry the one. Now, because it's now a tenth, 1/10 plus 6/10 plus another tenth is going to get me 8/10. I'm going to drop down the decimal point and then 0 plus 0 is 0. Same thing if I do 0.67 minus 0.19. Again, I'm going to rewrite them. Where am I going to put these numbers? Under which digits? Where am I going to put the 0 right here? Yep, I'm going to put it underneath this 0, then there, because there's the decimal point. Where am I going to put that digit of 1? Yep, underneath here, because they're both tenths. And what about that 9? Underneath the 7, because they're both hundredths. So now I'm going to go ahead and subtract these two numbers. So I have 7 hundredths. I need to take a 9 hundredths away. Of course I cannot do that. So I'm going to borrow a group from over here, the tenths. So I'm left with 5/10. And now this turns into 17 hundredths. So 17 hundredths minus 9 hundredths is going to get me 8 hundredths. And then 5/10 minus 1/10 is 4/10. I drop down the decimal. 1, 0 minus 0, 0. So I'm going to be left with 0.48 there. So let's talk now about what happens if you kind of sort of have maybe not all the place values are the same. Maybe if they're not all matching. Let's think about 1 whole and 31 hundredths. And I'm going to add 2/10 to that. I'm just going to add 2/10. So now we can see I have 1, 2, 3 different digits here, but here I only have 2 different digits. I'm still going to line them up according to their digits, and I make sure by lining up the decimals. So I'm going to take 1.31, and I'm going to go ahead and add. This is the 1 spot, and I've got the decimal, and the 2's in the 10th spot, so I'm going to put it underneath. Now, if I take a look at this, I have a gap here. See that hole there? There's a gap. There's no value there. What can I put there to indicate that there's no value? Go ahead. I know you're thinking it. Say it. Yeah, 0. I could put a 0 there because a 0 means no value. Now I can see all my place values are lined up because 0.2, 2/10 is the exact same thing as 20/100ths. So now I can go ahead and add them together. 1 plus nothing, which is 0, is 1. 3 plus 2 is 5. I bring down the decimal, and 1 whole plus nothing is 1 whole. So I get the answer of 1.51. Now, what about when we subtract? I have 1 and 31/100ths minus 2/10. I'm just going to take away 2/10. I'm going to line the vertical, stack them just like I did, lining up by the place values. 1.31 minus 0.2. Again, there's that gap there. There's that hole there. I'm going to go ahead and fill it in because there's no value there. I'm going to fill it in with that 0, which also indicates that there is no value. So now 1 minus 0 is 0, 1, 1. So the answer here is 1 and 11/100ths. Now, what if the gap is not on the bottom, but what if it's on the top? Let's take a look at this example. I have 0.9, and I'm going to add to it 0.43. So if we can see here now that I'm going to stack them. I'll start off with 0.9. I'm going to add the 0 goes here, 4, 3. Notice now there's a gap here. There's nothing here. So how can I fix that? I'm going to go ahead and just put that. What am I going to put again? What is it? Come on, shout it out. Go ahead. Make your parents look at you. Yep, 0. That's right, 0. So 0 plus 3 is, of course, 3. Then we have 9 plus 4 is 13. I'm going to carry the 1 up over here. My decimal comes down just like it normally does, and then 1 plus nothing is 1. So I get 1 whole and 33/100ths when I add together 9/10, and I add together that with 43/100ths. Now let's talk about subtraction. So 0.9 minus 0.43. Again, this is where it's super, super important to line up those place values. And you know you're lining up those place values when you're lining up your decimals. So I'll have 0.9, and then I'll have 0.43, and I'll go ahead and subtract those. I've got nothing here. Now, a common thing some kids do is they'll just go ahead, oh, there's nothing there, so I'm just going to put a 3 down underneath of it. That's not technically true. There's technically a 0. You have nothing there. If you have nothing there, you cannot take anything away, even if it doesn't show a number there. That's why I like putting that 0 there. So now I can borrow. The 9 will become an 8, and this will now become a 10. So 10 minus 3 now is 7. 8 minus 4 is 4. Bring down the decimal. Bring down my 0. So don't be tricked. Don't be thinking if there's nothing there, no digit, it just pops on down, because that's not true. Because that means that there's no value there. Because remember, in subtraction, the bigger number is actually what you have, and the smaller number is how much you're taking away. If you have no value in the hundredths place, how can you take 3/100ths away? It's impossible. So you must borrow a group from the tenths in order to take out what you need.